The unseen engine of AI, our finite world of data. We often think of artificial intelligence as a purely digital creation. We see it as lines of code and powerful processors, a form of intelligence that exists outside the messy reality of the physical world. However, this is a fundamental misunderstanding of how AI systems are built and what they depend on. Every AI model, from the one that suggests your next song to the one that helps doctors identify diseases, is built upon a foundation of data. This data is the lifeblood of AI. It is the raw material from which intelligence is forged. Without vast, high-quality datasets, these systems cannot learn, they cannot generalize, and they cannot perform the incredible tasks we now expect from them. Data is the teacher, the textbook, and the entire library for these learning machines. The core problem we face today is a growing, yet often invisible crisis: data scarcity. This term might sound simple, suggesting we just don't have enough data. But the reality is far more complex and nuanced than a mere lack of quantity. Data scarcity means we lack sufficient useful data. It is a crisis of quality, relevance, and accessibility that plagues even the most advanced AI development projects. The data might exist somewhere in the world, but it is locked away, too expensive to gather, or simply too rare to form a meaningful pattern. This scarcity creates a critical bottleneck, slowing down progress and introducing hidden dangers into the AI systems we are coming to rely on for crucial decisions in our daily lives. So, what makes useful data so scarce in a world that is supposedly drowning in information? The causes are varied and deeply rooted in the way our world works. Some data is scarce simply because the events it describes are rare. Think of data on new financial fraud schemes, the early symptoms of an extremely rare disease, or the immediate aftermath of a once-in-a-century natural disaster. Other data is incredibly difficult and expensive to collect, such as detailed medical imaging that requires specialized equipment or satellite data from remote, inhospitable regions of our planet. These are just a few of the hurdles that prevent us from feeding our AI models the rich, diverse diet of information they truly need to become intelligent and reliable partners. Furthermore, a significant portion of the world's most valuable data is restricted. It is locked behind formidable walls of privacy regulations, legal frameworks, and ethical considerations. Personal health records, private communications, and sensitive financial information are rightly protected, but this creates a challenge for building fair and effective AI. The data we can access is often imbalanced, heavily favoring majority groups while leaving minorities underrepresented. And finally, much of the data we do have is of low quality. It's noisy, biased, outdated, or filled with inconsistencies. All these factors combine to create a landscape where truly useful data is a precious and finite resource, a reality that has profound implications for the future of AI. This essay will explore the multifaceted crisis of data scarcity by following a clear structure. We will begin by defining the problem in detail, moving beyond simple definitions to understand its root causes. Then, we will investigate the wide-ranging and serious impacts this scarcity has not only on the performance of AI models, but on society as a whole. Finally, we will chart a path forward by examining the solutions and strategies that researchers and developers are creating to mitigate these challenges. Problem, impact, solution. This framework will guide our journey, providing a comprehensive overview of one of the most significant yet under-discussed challenges in AI today. Understanding this structure is key to grasping the full scope of the issue. The urgency of addressing data scarcity cannot be overstated. As AI systems become more integrated into the critical infrastructure of our society, the risks associated with their failures grow exponentially. An AI model trained on scarce data is not just a weak or inefficient tool, it can be a dangerous one. When an AI system used in healthcare fails to recognize a rare but critical medical condition because it has never seen enough examples, the consequences can be life-altering. When a self-driving car's AI has not been trained on enough unusual road scenarios, it can lead to catastrophic accidents. The reliability and safety of our future technological landscape depend directly on our ability to solve this data problem now. The impact of data scarcity extends far beyond technical glitches. It strikes at the heart of fairness and equity. When AI models are trained on imbalanced datasets that underrepresent certain demographics, they inherit and amplify existing societal biases. This can lead to discriminatory outcomes in hiring, loan applications, criminal justice. Furthermore, as language models become our primary interface for information, a lack of data for low-resource languages threatens to create a new digital divide, marginalizing entire cultures and communities. The promise of AI is to create a more efficient and equitable world, but data scarcity risks turning that promise into a tool that reinforces the inequalities of the past. Therefore, this exploration is not just an academic exercise, it is a crucial conversation for our time. We must confront the reality that our most powerful new technology is being built on a finite and flawed foundation. By understanding the causes of data scarcity, appreciating its profound impacts, and critically evaluating the proposed solutions, we can begin to build a more robust, reliable, and responsible future for artificial intelligence. The challenge is immense, but the stakes are too high to ignore. We must ensure that the intelligence we are building reflects the full, diverse, and complex reality of our world, not just the easily accessible fragments of it. Table of Contents. Part 2, Act 1. What makes data scarce? The rarity of reality. When events defy data collection. The high cost of knowing. Difficult and expensive data. The walls around data. Restrictions of privacy, law, and ethics. The distorted mirror. Imbalanced and low-quality datasets. One of the most fundamental reasons data is scarce is that the events we want to study are, by their very nature, rare. Artificial intelligence learns by identifying patterns, but patterns are difficult to discern when there are only a handful of examples to learn from. Consider the world of financial fraud. Sophisticated new types of fraud are exceptionally rare in the grand scheme of billions of daily transactions. An AI system designed to detect these novel threats has very little historical data to study. It's like asking a detective to solve a crime they've never seen, with only 1 or 2 blurry photos as clues. The model struggles to distinguish between a legitimate, unusual transaction and a genuinely fraudulent one. That leads to missed threats or frustrating false alarms for innocent customers. This same principle applies with even greater weight in medicine. Many diseases are classified as rare, affecting only a small fraction of the population. Available data may consist of only a few hundred confirmed cases, or even a few dozen confirmed cases scattered across the globe. Each case may present slightly differently, making it nearly impossible for a model to form a reliable, generalizable understanding of symptoms and markers. The model might overfit to the few examples it has seen, effectively memorizing them instead of learning underlying biological signals. That could lead it to miss a diagnosis in a new patient whose case deviates even slightly, with potentially tragic consequences for that individual. Natural disasters and other large-scale crises present a similar challenge. A once-in-a-century flood, a volcanic eruption after a long dormancy, a novel global pandemic. We may have records of past events, but specific conditions, societal responses, and environmental impacts are unique each time. An AI built to predict a disaster's trajectory or manage response is working from a playbook with missing pages. It has few precedents, making predictions inherently uncertain. The data simply does not exist in sufficient quantity to capture full complexity, limiting our ability to prepare and react effectively. Ultimately, scarcity of data on rare events reflects reality itself. The world does not produce these occurrences on a schedule convenient for data collection. They are, by definition, outliers. This presents a fundamental barrier to training AI for critical challenges. We cannot command the world to generate more examples of a rare cancer or a new form of cyber attack. This scarcity isn't a technical problem we can easily engineer away. It's an inherent limitation rooted in the statistical nature of the world. Therefore, building AI that can function reliably despite rarity is one of the most significant frontiers in machine learning research. Beyond rarity, some data is scarce because it's difficult and expensive to collect, like medical imaging or climate data. Other data is locked away by privacy laws and ethics, such as personal health records. These essential rules protect us, but also create scarcity for AI, forcing a difficult trade-off between progress and privacy. Section 4. The distorted mirror. Imbalanced and low-quality datasets. Even when data is abundant, accessible, and ethically sourced, it can still be effectively scarce if imbalanced. An imbalanced dataset doesn't represent real-world diversity. It overrepresents majority groups, viewpoints, and scenarios, and underrepresents minority ones. Large datasets scraped from the internet are overwhelmingly dominated by content from North America and Europe, mostly in English. This means AI models are far more proficient with Western cultures. Low-resource languages, spoken by hundreds of millions, have tiny digital footprints, making their data scarce and marginalized. This imbalance appears across domains. Facial recognition. Datasets over-index on light-skinned male faces. Systems are less accurate for women and less accurate for people of color. In medicine, clinical trials have often excluded women or specific ethnic groups, resulting in less effective medical knowledge and AI tools. In autonomous driving, training data is mostly from clear weather, well-maintained roads in places like California. Scarcity for edge cases. Driving in a blizzard in a rural area, or navigating chaotic traffic in a megacity of a developing country. The model's intelligence is brittle because its experience is narrow. One visual, pie chart heavily skewed, majority data, 95%, minority edge case tiny sliver. Compounding imbalance, pervasive low-quality data. Data can be scarce because quality is too poor to be useful. Noisy, filled with random errors, or irrelevant information that obscures patterns. It can also be outdated. A model trained on economic data from 5 years ago may be useless for today's market. Inconsistent data, where the same entity is labeled differently, can confuse a model and prevent coherent learning. A dataset riddled with quality issues is like a textbook full of typos, factual errors, and missing pages. It confuses rather than educates. Both imbalanced and low-quality data create a distorted mirror of the world. An AI trained on such data will inherit and amplify those flaws. Discriminatory outcomes, loan applications, hiring decisions, criminal justice. If the data is noisy and inconsistent, the AI's predictions will be unreliable and erratic. This is why data cleaning, curation, and balancing are critical parts of the pipeline. Without this effort, we're left with a garbage in, garbage out scenario. Even the most sophisticated algorithm is rendered useless by poor foundational data. Section 1. The brittle mind. Overfitting and unreliable predictions. Artificial intelligence systems, particularly machine learning models, learn by studying examples and finding patterns within them. Their goal is not just to understand the data they are shown, but to generalize from it. They should apply learned patterns to new, unseen situations. For this process to work effectively, the model needs a large and diverse data set. Much like a student needs a comprehensive textbook and varied life experiences to develop true understanding. When data is scarce, the AI's learning process is fundamentally crippled. It is like trying to learn about the entire animal kingdom by only studying a handful of pictures of cats and dogs. The resulting knowledge will be dangerously incomplete and fragile. This leads to a common and critical problem known as overfitting. When a model is given too few examples, it fails to learn the general underlying principles. Instead, it begins to memorize the specific details of the training data, including its noise and random quirks. The model becomes exceptionally good at predicting the data it has already seen, giving a false sense of high accuracy during development. However, when it encounters new data from the real world, its performance collapses. It is like a student who has memorized the answers to a specific practice test, but has not actually learned the subject matter. When given a different test, even one on the same subject, they are completely lost because they cannot adapt. Imagine a graph showing two lines. One training accuracy line goes up to 100%, and a second real-world accuracy line starts high, but then plummets, illustrating overfitting. The direct consequence of overfitting is that the AI's predictions become highly unreliable. A model that has overfit to a small dataset is brittle. It lacks the flexibility to handle the natural variations of reality. For instance, an AI designed for agricultural monitoring might be trained on a scarce dataset of healthy plants and diseased plants from one specific farm. It might learn to associate a particular shadow or a lighting condition with a disease, rather than the actual visual symptoms of the blight itself. When deployed to a new farm with different lighting, it could either fail to spot the disease entirely or raise countless false alarms, rendering it useless to the farmer who relies on its accuracy. This unreliability poses a significant risk in any high-stakes application. An overfit model is not just inaccurate, it is unpredictably inaccurate. Its failures are not consistent or easy to anticipate. This creates a system that cannot be trusted for important decisions. Whether it's a financial model predicting market movements or a medical tool assessing patient risk, scarcity-induced unreliability undermines the very purpose of using AI. We turn to these systems for consistency and insight, but when they are built on a weak foundation of scarce data, they deliver fragility and doubt instead. This makes the quest for sufficient, high-quality data not just a technical preference, but a prerequisite for building any truly dependable AI. Data scarcity is not just a technical problem. It is a social one that can have profound consequences for fairness and equity. When a data set is scarce because it is imbalanced, it creates a distorted view of the world. AI models trained on such data learn to see this distorted view as the complete truth. If a dataset used for training a hiring algorithm contains far more examples of successful male applicants than female applicants, the model will inevitably learn to associate male characteristics with success. It doesn't do this out of malice. It does so because, from a purely statistical standpoint based on the scarce data it was given, men appear to be the safer, more common choice. The model simply reflects the bias present in its limited training material. This reflection of bias quickly turns into amplification. The AI system, now deployed in the real world, begins to favor male candidates in its recommendations. This creates a vicious feedback loop. Fewer women are hired, which means there is even less data generated about successful female employees for future versions of the model to learn from. The initial data scarcity for one group becomes even more pronounced over time, and the bias becomes more deeply entrenched in the system. The AI does not just mirror the inequality found in its training data, it acts as a powerful engine for perpetuating and magnifying that inequality, an echo chamber where historical biases are validated and reinforced by the false authority of technology. This dynamic has been observed in numerous real-world applications with damaging effects. Facial recognition systems trained on underrepresented faces show higher error rates for people of color, leading to wrongful accusations and eroded trust. In healthcare, diagnostic tools trained mostly on one ethnic population can miss or delay diagnoses for others, worsening disparities. The scarcity of data for marginalized communities means AI's benefits are unevenly distributed, and the technology can actively harm the populations it overlooks. The promise of objective, data-driven decisions is broken. Ultimately, data scarcity forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. A default AI model is a biased AI model. Unless deliberate, intensive effort is made to find datasets, create datasets, or balance datasets to ensure they are representative. The system will inevitably favor the majority. It will perform best for groups most represented in the digital world and most easily captured in data collection efforts. Building fair and ethical AI is not an automatic outcome of good engineering. It requires a conscious, proactive fight against scarcity and imbalance in the world's data, making data curation a crucial act of social responsibility. In many complex systems, the most critical events are also the rarest. These are known as edge cases, unusual situations where data is, by definition, scarce. For a self-driving car, handling them is the difference between safety and catastrophic failure. In language models, this same data scarcity causes hallucinations, generating false information with absolute confidence. When an AI encounters a situation it hasn't seen, it must guess, creating a blind spot that can have dangerous consequences. The combined effects of unreliability, bias, and hallucinations lead to one critical consequence: the erosion of trust. As AI weaves into daily life, each failure adds to a perception of it as volatile and opaque, stifling innovation and prompting public backlash. Rebuilding that trust requires addressing the root cause of many failures: data scarcity. One powerful response is synthetic data, where AI generates new, artificial data to augment scarce datasets. Another is transfer learning, which adapts massive pre-trained models to new tasks with very little data. And for rare or dangerous events, simulation allows AI to train in digital worlds, safely encountering millions of edge cases. Each technique is an investment, not just in better models, but in a future where AI earns our confidence. For decades, AI development has been fueled by a seemingly endless resource, the internet. But we are rapidly approaching a critical inflection point. The finite pool of high-quality, human-generated data is being consumed at an astonishing rate. This is data exhaustion. Just as we approach this limit, the internet is becoming saturated with AI-generated content. This creates a dangerous feedback loop known as model collapse. When an AI learns from the flawed output of another AI, it drifts further from the ground truth of real, human-generated information. This transforms the problem into a profound epistemic crisis, threatening our ability to know what is real. Navigating this requires a fundamental shift in strategy. We must prioritize data provenance, invest in human curation, and develop data-efficient learning methods. The age of indiscriminate data hoarding is over. We must now transition to an era of responsibility, ensuring the intelligence we build remains grounded, reliable, and, above all, human.